My name's Paul Shogren. I work at the Regional Tribunal of Queensland. I'm a canon lawyer. An annulment, or to use the term a little more precisely, a declaration of nullity, is a determination by a church tribunal, or in certain circumstances the diocesan bishop, that a marriage so lacked an essential ingredient that the union could not be called a marriage. And having a declaration of nullity enables a person to enter a further marriage in the church. Now, at a wedding, we hear the bride and the groom make their promises, and afterwards we congratulate them on being a husband and wife. They've created a marriage, and we assume the promises they made created a bond of marriage between them. Sometimes we know that either the bride or the groom, or both, did not mean what they said with their promises. For example, they promised faithfulness, but kept their secret intention to themselves. If the opportunity arose for them, they decided it would be okay to cheat on their spouse. The promises they made were empty. They didn't create a bond. Now, when a church or a civil tribunal issue a declaration of nullity of marriage, they're saying that the promises were made, but they were empty. They were null, hence annulment. Now, different to divorce procedures, annulment procedures look at the wedding ceremony, not at the breakdown of the union. Who were the bride and groom on the wedding day? What did they mean when they promised these things? What did they understand about what they were promising, about each other? Were they psychologically able to make such promises? Now, I want to say something important about the perspective that canon law has when we take on the investigation. Nobody is ever asked to prove that their marriage was valid. Canon law presumes that all marriages are valid. Now, this is a crucially important canonical phrase that carries weight from the moment a person sets foot in a tribunal to the moment that person receives a decision. That phrase is, marriage enjoys the favour of the law. In an annulment, what has to be proven is that the marriage was null, that this union, which may have looked like a marriage, was never in truth a marriage. I'd make a second observation. There's also an absolutely critical difference between divorce and annulment. Divorce proceedings are about what happened at the end of a marriage. The annulment process is about what happened at the beginning. In other words, ground zero for us when we investigate a marriage is the moment of consent, when the two parties stood up and said to each other, "I do." Finally, I must say what an annulment is not. It's not a decision by the church about who was a saint and who was a sinner in a marriage. And it's not an exercise in apportioning blame for the failure of that marriage. And the tribunal is not some sort of torture chamber staffed by cruel people like myself who spend their days inventing ways to make people's lives miserable using the code of canon law.